163 it is for David Warner's Sunrisers Hyderabad to look at, because with the ball, Vijay Shankar bowled his full quota, which has happened for the first time in the IPL, where it was Karthik and Morgan that did the job. A terrific partnership. When they were 105 for 4, they went on to reach 163 in the end. KKR. Tom Moody joins us on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Tom, happy with how KKR approached it, or would you have expected one gear higher?
Oh, look, I think that they got what I would call a par score. I think I mentioned 160 at the beginning of the show before the start of the match, and it just appeared to me to be a surface that potentially was going to be hard to seek from a team's point of view, seek a big total. The difference I think between KKR getting 180 plus was probably the Andre Russell wicket. Again, he missed out tonight just getting the 9 off 11 balls, but they did finish nicely with a flourish. The partnership between Morgan and Karthik was a valuable partnership that managed to get them into a competitive position.
Right, 58, the partnership between Dinesh Karthik and Morgan. 16 runs coming off that last over of Basil Thampi, thanks to Morgan's big shots. But Karthik, if there was any doubt about whether he is a genuine finisher or not, though all those doubts have been put to rest, he doesn't really muscle the ball, but he seems to have this great sense of piercing the field and understanding where the angles are. He did that very well today.
Yeah, look, I just think that he's at his best when the scenario is simplified. And that is where there's just a minimal number of balls. He needs to get out there and really press the go button from the get-go, instead of having to think about building an innings and building partnerships. He's far better off when he's in that situation where he knows he's got to play his shots really from the beginning of his innings. He's certainly got all the shots in the book, and he's a dangerous player. And I think it just gives him a sense of freedom mentally, when he's in that situation against, if he's coming in early in the innings, there's so many other different things at play that at times can probably cluster his thinking.
Right. Morgan played a very crucial knock as well. 16 of the last over of Basil. One would say the momentum perhaps now with KKR, but do we in cricket media perhaps make too much of a big deal about momentum of the last over?
No, not at all. I think it's an important, feature in T20 cricket in particular. If you manage to finish on a high, like KKR did, with a good finishing over, that's a positive vibe that goes into the dressing room as the bowlers prepare to, get out there and defend that total. The team's up and about, and there's plenty of noise, and there's a positive atmosphere. On the other side of the coin, though, if you're going in there and you only get 5 or 6 off the last over and lose a couple of wickets, you're sort of going in a little bit wounded, knowing that you've missed out on probably 10 runs more, missed out on 10 runs that you should have got on top of only the 4 or 5 that you got. So it is an important factor. So going into the second half of this game, there's no doubt KKR will be going out there with a spring in their step.
Right, Andre Russell, the MVP last season, massive expectations. Today had the opportunity, came into bat in the 12th over, and just as he came into bat, the ESPN Cricket forecaster projected a score of about 176 to 181. Such is the reputation of the man. Good conditions, but an opportunity missed.
Yeah, look, he hasn't quite got going, has he? And I think this particular surface is not the easiest surface to bat on. It's certainly not a surface where you can go out there and play your big shots. And we could see that throughout that innings, that there's a number of very fine players struggling to get their timing and hitting the inner ring quite regularly. And it also, when you get people like Sandeep Sharma and also Vijay Shankar managing to bowl their overs really without any damage at all, without really being a victim of many boundaries, that slower pace bowling stump to stump is hard to hit. If it's a wicket that normally comes on, bowlers like that tend to get punished unless they get it absolutely right. So that was a bit of a telltale to me that the surface is a little bit on the slow side. It's just holding up in the pitch. Therefore, timing of the balls, stroke play is not the easiest thing to do. So this total of 164 to chase down to win is going to be not an easy total for Sunrisers. They'll need to get off to a good start and take advantage of that power play.
And given your assessment of the pitch, Tom, Shubman Gill, once again, less than a runner ball, acceptable given the conditions?
100%. He got them off to a very solid start. Look, ideally, you would have liked him to have kicked on and improved that strike rate. But, that start, I think from memory, they were around about 50 after the power play. You couldn't ask for better. That was a very good start in that power play. I think it was 48. They lost 1 wicket at the very last ball of the power play. You couldn't ask for much more than that. That's a very good start, and Shubman Gill played an important role in that. It's very easy to point the finger at certain individuals, but his role in that partnership, his role in setting that foundation for the team was very important.
Right. When you look at a side that seemed to bowl pretty well, they bowl well within themselves. There's no real express out-and-out pace bowler, but you expect the fielding to come good. And once again, a young man, Priyam Garg, with those 2 catches, telling us that he is part of a generation that represents the new age of cricket, isn't it?
Yeah, look, there's no hiding, is there, in T20 cricket? And Garg's fielding was exceptional. We've seen him in previous matches take a couple of good catches, but also get a run out or two. He's a bit of a find as a young talent, not only as a batsman, but certainly as someone that's an asset in the field. And that is something that certainly teams look at when it comes to team selection. It's something that teams look at when it comes to the auction. You're not only looking at the batsman or the bowler, but you're looking at the package. And if they're someone that can hold down key fielding positions, it's really important to the balance of your side.
Right, chasing 164 now, the Hyderabad batting. Warner and Bairstow are 3rd and 5th respectively on the list of poorest power play strike rates this season. How would you approach this chase? Would you say, all right, so many in the power play, so many at the end of 10, or just play it 1 over at a time? What's the kind of approach you expect from the Hyderabad openers?
Look, they're both very experienced players, both natural strikers of the ball. I think the discussion that will be had with the opening batsman will be around, how are they going to best maximise the power play, recognising that the pitch itself is probably going to get harder and harder to play those big shots. So I think the focus will be and should be on trying to maximise those power play overs and get, off to a good start. Nothing too ridiculous, but in around that 50 mark, if they're around 50 after 6, I think they'll be pretty happy with that position. The one big difference, though, is the bowling attack for KKR against the Sunrisers is that what the KKR attack has got is pace, which is what you welcome on a slower surface. Sunrisers, not by design, by coincidence, their bowling attack is just a very medium pace bowling attack. But when you got the likes of Pat Cummins and Lockie Ferguson and also Marvy, those guys are all bowling around about that 140 plus, which is a bonus on a slow wicket because in a way, anything around that 125, which is a Samdeep Sharma and your Vijay Shankars, if you're bowling 120, 125 straight at the stumps on a good length with a cross-seam delivery with every now and then bowling a change of pace, it can be difficult to get away. So I think the Sunrisers batsmen will welcome the additional pace.
And so is that a cue for KKR to have more overs from the spinners in the power play just to ensure that they don't get off to a flyer? Yeah,
look, I'd be... Well, again, I'd still be giving Pat Cummins the lead role in the power play. He's a world-class bowler. We know that he hasn't taken the wickets that everyone expected him to take, but at the end of the day, you've got to back your world-class talent, and I'm sure that he'll be given the opportunity. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see an over a spin or two. The problem with spin early is more so Warner than Bairstow. Warner can, particularly with the field restrictions during the power play, because you're only allowed those 2 fielders outside the 30-yard circle. Warner you can pay dearly by taking that gamble with a spinner. It's different if you've got a Sunil Narine, which they haven't got in their bowling attack, who's got that experience. But when you don't have that experience, I think it can be a high-risk strategy.
We may be in for a surprise because I just got a glimpse of Williamson ready with, ready padded up with his helmet on, and he was doing a bit of shadow practice. We might just see Williamson batting at the top of the order, but assuming that's not true, what's happening with Warner? Is he too cautious, you think? Is he thinking too much? What's happening with him?
Well, he's in the leading run scorers of the tournament, isn't he? So there's not a lot going wrong with him. I know we're used to seeing him at the top of the list, but I think he's having a reasonably good tournament. But I think he, along with a lot of top order batsmen in this tournament, you mentioned Shubman Gill, but what we're seeing is that the pace of the surfaces and the conditions early on can be a little bit more challenging to what they're used to. You know, in India, where it can be a lot flatter and you can really climb into bowling attacks in those first 6 overs, we're not seeing that same trend unless you're playing in Sharjah. So whether it be Abu Dhabi or Dubai, it is a lot tougher for those opening batsmen to really have an impact. There's been criticism on KL Rahul's strike rate as well. But, when you're seeing a number of quality batsmen facing the same challenge, I don't think you point the finger at the player. I think you consider things outside that they're having to deal with, and that is the conditions they're playing in.
Right. One of the reasons why this question often pops up is people tend to look at average plus strike rate. And for a player like Warner, when that number doesn't cross 180, you reckon maybe he's being a bit cautious. Maybe it's a bit of a greed from players who want to see him do well. But as I said a little while ago, Kane Williamson has come out to bat with Johnny Bairstow. How do you read that move?
Yeah, look, again, I think Sunrisers are looking for the right formula. Warner has batted in the past. He's batted in the middle order at 4, and it was actually during the tournament. I can't remember what year it was now, but it was during the tournament that was in the first half of it was in Dubai. Warner did bat 4, and that was to provide stability to that middle order. So again, Williamson is a quality top order player. I've seen that's a pretty seamless change, and it's good the Sunrisers are trying something different. The only reason they're doing it, I feel, is just trying to get that combination right in their top order. And it does give them a left-hander in the middle order, which could be valuable.
Regardless of what happens with this opening pair, Warner at 3 and not later?
I would imagine Manish Pandey would stay at 3 and Warner will bat 4.
And what do you do with Vijay Shankar? Because he's batted at 6 today, he's bowled 4 overs and he's bowled pretty well, best economy today. His confidence would be higher. And so would you look at batting him higher than Priyam Garg?
No. I think he needs to earn the right to bat above Priyam Garg. At the moment, he's not batting well enough. Yes, he's bowled well today, but I think his role needs to be a bit like a Dinesh Karthik role, as in take control of the game and finish games for the side. So he may have his opportunity this evening to when he's having to, chase down 10 and over in the last 3 or 4 overs. Having his experience there to finish games is probably the important role he needs to fill.
Right, 164 the target. Who's winning this one?
Well, I'm sitting on the fence here a little bit, but I reckon it's going to be quite a hard target to chase, to be honest with you. I think that's quite a good score on that pitch. So KKR have got their nose in front.
Right, we'll see if the Williamson at the top kind of move works for Sunrisers Hyderabad. They desperately need this win. KKR will look to move higher up the table. But for now, we're done. Thanks so much, Tom, for joining us on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. And we will be back right here on this show. Rona Kapoor will be in the company of Sanjay Manjrekar and Tom Moody to not just look back at this game, but also look ahead to the Kings 11 Punjab Mumbai game. Kings 11 Punjab looking desperate. Mumbai looking to reach level on points with Delhi. So see you then. Thanks for joining us for now.